Hello, hello! It's Constructive Greg, and today I want to describe the difference between those two icons, because you already installed Tekla 2026, right? But before we will get into the details, I believe that we need to have a common understanding of the current pain points of Tekla launching, because there is one problem, and Tekla Launcher is trying to solve that. So let's look at this. This is the Baldur's Gate 1 and 3 in 5 plus 4 plus 2 CD-ROMs. That was like that. You have the CD-ROM number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the add-on, Tales of the Sword Coast, and to install that, you had to move all of those CDs one by one. That was the past. And now, how the computer games are launched from your PC? You just have this shortcut, you are double-clicking, and the Steam client is taking all of that nuance just for you. All of the updates, all of the fresh content from the game creator, it's just streamlined onto your PC. So what is the typical way to launch Tekla? You are just double-clicking the shortcut on your desktop and you have this. Why is it topmost? Guys, please change that. So after that, nice welcome screen. You have to pick your environment and what environment should I pick? Because I'm working on multiple different projects. So which one I have to pick? Okay, I will pick Construct European. Oh, roll. Oh, what do I have to do here? Okay, let's go with that. Then you have to wait for a while, few seconds, and then you will see the list of the recently opened models. From that, you can create the new one, you can open one of those. Everything what is typical way in Tekla is here. But for a newcomers, it's a nightmare because they have to remember what environment, what role, what model. And for us, where we work in Tekla for 10 years, it's obvious that it was like that from the beginning and we just adapted. That's the human nature. But for the newcomers, it's quite hard. So the Trimble folks want to address that issue. Let's see how the launcher is working. So the launcher is some kind of a shortcut because here you have that window and it looks shiny and polished and it's just, hey, is it still Tekla? But yeah, that's the nature of the web development. So here I have the list of the recent models exactly in the same way as the previously. But here I have a very, very quick view. I can look up into the last environment, what was used for creation of that model. And here, the newcomers, they know that this model is coming with the France environment, this from the Germany, and this is the common one. So from that recent panel, I can just click open, and you guess what? It will work. What is not so obvious at the first glance is that this is truly the Steam for Tekla, because it is not only launching the Tekla, but it also manages the updates of the environment. And if you are dealing with the Tekla administration in your company, then you know that trying to convince all of your folks to install the newest update for the environment which we are using is a nightmare, because no one has time for that. So probably you are trying to enforce it through some different policies in your IT infrastructure. But this is the nature of the Tekla itself. So why try to reinvent the wheel? Why the Tekla should not be able to handle it by itself? And the Tekla Launcher is exactly promising that it will keep environment in a good shape with all of the recent updates. So if there will be the update for that France environment, then before the model will be opened, it will download automatically the new service pack for that environment. So you don't have to remember about those updates. They will be applied automatically, exactly like the updates for your best computer games are applied by Steam. With the launcher, you can, of course, also create a new model, like this one, with based on some sample models, and that's the great occasion just to see what is provided by all of those Trimble entities across the world, because you can find some very interesting things in, for example, France environment. But let's try to create the new one. So when I try to create the new one, I have to pick the environment. And I don't know why I have this visual glitch, but yeah, let's just fix that because this is just the pure web development. So let's change the background of that to black. Okay, so as you can see, here I have to pick the environment, and I can pick one of the officially distributed by the Trimble. Those are official environments which you can download from when you download the Tekla itself. There you can pick the national environment, and those will be managed automatically by the launcher.
So it will be updated, it will be kept in good shape. But of course, with the launcher, you can also create the classic one. So using one of your environments which you have installed on your machine. And here, it will not be automatically updated, because that's something what probably will evolve, because Trimble is saying something like that hey, we are providing you a national environments. They are best in their own genre, and we keep them in a good shape. So if you will use the cloud environment provided by us, then the launcher will help you to keep it in good shape. Yeah, that it will be updated. But if you are using your own one, something what you have created based on the common one, or something created from the scratch, then of course it will not be automatically updated on the end user machines. That's not the case yet, because they are experimenting with something, and I am not sure how it will end. But if you look into the project settings management console, this is the preview feature, which is described in the Tekla documents. Then it looks very promising, because it looks like here they are trying to build some UI for managing those environments. Of course, now it's only for their ones, but I'm very curious how it will evolve. Because we all know that distributing of the environment to the end users can be tricky. There are different ways how you can copy those files on the end user machines, or maybe you want to use the network drive, but then, Tekla environment is a constellation of thousands of small files. So it is very easy just to get quite a lagging behavior in the Tekla. So let's see how that will work. But still, going back to Launcher. So we can create the new models. And here is also the toggle to apply company settings, so that preview feature which we saw in the web UI. But this is not configured on that account which I am using here, so I won't be able to show you. But this is the way how you provided the firm folder into those cloud environments. I'm very curious how it will be updated, how you will be able to upload the new settings for your company. But I strongly believe this is the right move in the right direction, because distribution of the Tekla environment is a nightmare. But when I first saw that, I was curious, okay, how does it different from the bypass ini, the old way which we all used for bypassing this initial screen to pick the license, pick the environment, and pick the role. So I was curious, okay, is it the same mechanism or something different? And you can check it, how it works. So now I will just try to open the France prefab, but also I have to look into the details of the task manager. So let's try to see in the details. Here it is. So now I will try to open that one. And let's go to Tekla. Where is Tekla? Where is Tekla? So it's still starting. Let's wait until we will see Tekla in that list, because here there is the command line. So we will be able to see what exactly is happening under the hood with the launcher. Because, it's always quite interesting to see how those things are solved from the developer point of view. So let's wait. And now I have the Tekla. And as you can see, it's just providing the ini path, which is somewhere here. So if we go on that path on your hard drive, then you will see that there is quite a lot of different stuff created here. There are at least those 6 files created when I try to launch Tekla. So let's see on the bypass ini, because this is something that we know from the previous Tekla versions, and let's look what is there. And at the first glance, it looks very similar, because there is the default environment, the default role, but then you see that those paths, they are quite strange. They are not the typical C, Tekla structures, environments, stuff like that. It's sitting on my local files, Tekla Launcher. What is that? How does it work? And that's the magic. That's the magic of the Tekla Launcher, because it is not built on top of the previous workflow. As I said previously, you can grab the whole image of the environment provided by the Trimble. It will go somewhere there. You don't have to touch it. It will just be done automatically, and it will be updated, maintained. Just like that. This is very similar how the Steam is handled the updates, so that's why I used it parallel. But here we also have to deal with one of the drawbacks of that workflow, because the Tekla Launcher is working only with the non-admin accounts. This is where the launcher itself is sitting. This is sitting in your local app data files. So if in your company you are using the admin accounts for launching Tekla, then launcher is not for you. But for the most of the users, that's not the case, because we can only imagine about having the admin privileges in our companies. So this is not so big drawback, I would say. Let's stay with that, but it also make the process of updating much more smoother, because you don't need that UAC prompt from the Windows to update it. So the Tekla Launcher, the shiny thing which just gets installed on your machine after having the Tekla 2026, is something what you definitely should try, especially because this is the very early days of the development for the tool. Of course, this is not preview. This is just now released with the Tekla itself, but I know that those guys who are just behind the development, they love to hear your feedback. So give a try the Tekla Launcher. Just see how it fits into your workflow. Does it solve the pain problem, as I said previously, that you have to pick the role, the environment, all of that, and then everyone on the project have to work in the same way. So if you believe that the launcher is something for you, then just give it a try, and see you next time.